Chapter Chicks. I am here to talk about Mistwood by Leah Cypess today. This book was released April 27th of 2010 by Green Willow, which is a division of HarperCollins. It has 304 pages in the U.S. hardcover edition. It is the first book in the Mistwood series. As far as I know, there are only two, Mistwood and then its sequel, Nightspell, but I do not know if there's going to be any more. It is told from a third-person point of view from the shifter's perspective. Now, I bet you are wondering what this is about. A prince who is waiting to be crowned king is in very, very serious danger. His only choice is to invoke a pact with the shifter, who is a wild, mythical creature who has vowed to protect the royal family with her life. But the shifter is having a very hard time remembering what happened last time she was called, and therefore she's having a lot of troubles really remembering who she is and the extent of her abilities. And no one seems willing to share the secret that could explain everything and save Roken's life. Now, I gave this book a B, which is a little bit above average. I felt that it was a good first book, but it was not the best book that it could have been. Let's talk a little bit about the characters. The only character I really fell head over heels in love with was Roken. I think that as a character, he had the most depth. He was the one I was always most concerned for. I think that throughout the book, he genuinely wanted to be a good person. And I think that I kind of have a soft spot for the characters that are like that because there's so many evil characters out there who just want to be selfish and do things for themselves. So I think that characters that have good moral standings, even to a little bit of an extent, are good characters to have in a book. So I really fell for Roken. I didn't really like the shifter that much. I think that I understand that she's having this crazy struggle throughout the book, but I just felt that her character was kind of weak. I'm hoping that in the next book, Nightspell, she'd be a little bit stronger. I don't know, she was just kind of, it was almost as though she was lacking passion. And if the main character doesn't feel passion, you can't feel passion towards the book. And I know that there's elements that play into that and everything that's going on and all that stuff, but you can still, there still needs to be something for me to grasp onto, and I didn't feel that the main character had the passion that I needed. I felt that Roken had the passion, so he was definitely my favorite character. One of the only characters in the book that I felt absolutely in love with. I don't even really remember the other characters very much. Let's talk a little bit about the plot. I really enjoyed the plot of the book. Where the characters were lacking, the plot kind of made up for it a little bit. It was, I don't know, it was very mysterious. I was constantly wondering what was going to happen, and there was definitely some twists and turns that I did not expect. And there was also some ones that I did expect, which is natural for any book, especially when you read as much of them as I do. I'm becoming very good at predicting what's going to happen, but in this book there were definitely some twists and turns that I did not see coming. As I said in the synopsis, there is this great secret that is kind of looming over the whole time, and I think that it was very cool how the secret lasted so long. Very often you come to find that books tell about this crazy secret, and then they'll tell you it in the first couple chapters, and it kind of spoils things a little bit because you thought you were going to read this mystery book, and instead you're reading just a normal book. And it wasn't that case. I think that the secret, you get tidbits of the secret, you get some information, but it just keeps expanding and expanding, and the consequences of the secret expand and expand, and I think that that was pretty cool. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the writing. As far as I know, this is Leah Cypess's first, I know I'm probably not saying her name right either. It's C-Y-P-E-S-S, but as far as I know, it's this author's first book on her own, and I think that it was a great first book. I know that I would not be able to write a book as good as this one for my very first novel, and pretty much just kudos to Leah because I think that this book rocked considering it was her first book. In comparison to book authors who have been doing this for a very long time and who have written a bunch of books, it wasn't my absolute favorite. If you were looking at the fact that this is her first book, it's a very good book. The writing was a lot of fun just to read. I never felt like I was struggling to read this book, although I was a little disappointed because it's been so hyped up to me. I've heard, like, some people told me that Mistwood was the best book that they've read so far this year and things like that. So I had very high expectations going in, and I was a little disappointed about that. But I think if you go in expecting a decent book, then you will get a good, decent book. But if you go in expecting the next Mortal Instruments or Harry Potter, then you're going to be disappointed. But it's definitely one of my top books because I've read some crazy books this year. Alright, now let's talk a little bit about the cover. I don't know how I feel about this cover. I know you guys can see it right there. When I first saw it, I did not pick it up. It turned me off entirely. I did not like it, but I think it was just because I'm not a big werewolf person. I don't like reading about... I like reading about werewolves, but for some reason I'm biased against picking up a werewolf book. But after I do pick it up and after I do read it, werewolf books are some of my favorite books. But for some reason I just do not want to go out and buy them. And you can tell just by looking at this book that it's a werewolf book. So I didn't pick it up right away, and there's the castle on it, and now that I've read it and I get a little bit more about it, I do like it a little better than I did, but it's still not one of my favorite covers. Alright, I'm Jessica with Chapter Chicks. This is my review over Mistwood by Leah Cypess. Cypess? I don't know how to say it. But that was my review. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. This chapter was for you.